This Warriors Live Podcast 2024, episode 26. I'm Will Evans here in the Amberley Casualty Ward, joined by Brad Larking, and the fourth person to feature on the podcast that has their own Wikipedia page, Mike Minogue. They're together there in the Frank Podcast Studios. What a milestone for us, Brad. Unfortunately, I'm not there with you, mate.
How far have we come? Look at me. King in the castle. Yeah, no, I tell you, this place is a lot different to what we've been utilising and using the last few years, Will. And it's good just having old Minogue across the desk here as well to give us a bit of insight into his opinion of the Warriors. And if he has any insight, who knows? We'll see after 40 minutes, I suppose. But yeah, good times. It's a shame you're not here.
Yeah, it is a shame, man. Thanks for having me. Big fan of the podcast and have been for a while. I think I found you guys. Thankfully, you probably only start looking for Warriors podcasts when you start going good. I didn't know there were any the year before last. And it must be, I should go back actually and listen to the old episodes because, Christ, that must have been a depressing state of affairs week to week, man.
It was quite cathartic. But, our production values were pretty low back then, mate, so I'm not sure if you want to go and listen to us.
Oh, just for the miserable attitude more than anything else.
Yeah.
A lot of whinging, that's for sure.
No quality on the podcast, but no quality on the paddock either, so fair enough.
Nah, forever diagnosing what's wrong, what the ailment is this week.
Now, for those of you who might not be super familiar with Mike's work, he's co-host on the Radio Hauraki Big Show. Plenty of acting credits, but came into the acting game a little bit late, didn't you, Mike? But everyone will be familiar with his role as Officer Mike Minogue from What We Do in the Shadows, and that was reprised in its own as a starring role in his own series, Wellington Paranormal. You're a bit of a superstar these days, Mike.
Huge,
very humbling to have you.
Just the first correction of the podcast, the cop's name is Kyle Minogue. Officer Kyle Minogue.
Oh,
is it really?
Yeah.
I see.
Wow.
Yeah, the E is silent. There's a,
Oh, wow. Pack it up, shut it down. That's all we need.
They probably got that wrong on Wikipedia, though. You get that a bit.
Right?
Yeah, but that's...
So Wikipedia, I also looked to... Member of Parliament for National from 75 to 84.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a Minogue Drive, I think, there in Hamilton. My old man lived there for a bit as well, but no relation as far as I know. And apparently he was a good man, though, old Mike Minogue. So.
I was trying to do my research, and I was sitting there sort of thumbing through it going, National Emblem. It took me a few more paragraphs than it should have for me to realise that this was a completely different Michael
I think
Minogue.
He was born in 1923 or something.
It was all in a waste of time, really. How's the back, Will? Like, there's a large... You were meant to be here.
Let's get into this because this is just a devastating turn of events. It's been built up over weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
Brad, your first trip. It's like picking the city, aren't you? You're like Babe.
Yeah.
And you've come up here and you are just lost, man. Wide-eyed. I don't remember Babe from that movie having a vape in its gob as much as you have here, but you're a little bit wide-eyed, so we've brought you in. But yeah, you two fellas meant to do it together. A really special trip it would have been, and of course, Brad blew his back out in an aerobics class down there.
Bit of a poorly performed deadlift, and blew the back out. I got
a question for you, man, around that deadlift. Is there any need for a man of your age to be doing deadlifts? In reality, I mean, I know that athletes do it, and I go to the gym a bit as well, but I've put the deadlifts away because it's just too much risk of what's happened to you.
I think he's got his eyes on a couple of blokes in there.
I've never liked them. I've never liked a deadlift, and do it begrudgingly. It's part of a class, and fucking never again. Yeah. I'll be subbing that shit out from now on.
Yeah, press ups on your knees.
I had almost recovered. I thought I was on track. I was all good, and then picked something else up at home that I shouldn't have, and all of a sudden it was my own edition of that. Like, it was like that movie 127 Hours with the dude with the rock. His arm trapped under the rock. I was here for about 3 hours by myself, basically immobile, trying to get to the toilet with a with a dining chair as a walking frame. Got as far as the hallway. I was so pathetic that I couldn't even get the chair up onto the carpet where the carpet starts in the hallway. I had to abandon it. Am I going to tell the bucket story?
That's why we're asking about your back.
So I did manage to, once Ruth got home, redo that scenario, get all the way over to the hallway and down the hallway with the chair as my walking frame. Went to the toilet. A couple of hours later, I need to go again. So I thought, righto, let's do this again. Got onto the floor, sort of rolled onto an ottoman to get my knees onto the floor, and then I couldn't push myself up. I was in too much pain. It was pretty pathetic. So rolled myself back onto the couch, and Ruth said, "Look, if you're worried about your dignity, don't worry. It's no big deal. I'll bring you a bucket." So I was like, righto. So she got some soapy hot water in the bucket, which was quite a good move. Just took the edge off, how demeaning the whole thing was. Yeah, and noisy. So she brought the bucket over. I've just popped out and had I'd say it was a fairly dignified wee actually for the circumstances.
She's never looked at you. She's never looked at you the same again, has she?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a bit frosty.
Were you lying prone on the couch and just swinging it off the side of the couch, or did you sort of get up in a position? Jerry Collins
I was lying on my side, managed to pop out over the top of the pants, and then and got it done. Ruth come collected the bucket, and we never spoke of it again.
Well, it's going to be good when we chop. It's going to be good when we chop that story up for Instagram, mate. We're going to get thousands of views on that.
And then we had an ambulance out here a few hours later. Good old St. John's, a marvelous service, and had me eventually just to get me upright. Got me on the old green whistle.
You still got it,
like you might see on the video. Yeah, well, I didn't realise. I thought I still had a bit of gas left in it, but apparently once you take it out of the bag, it's no good anymore. So a missed opportunity there. But that was good fun. And then they apparently was saying some pretty weird shit on it. The paramedic and Ruth got me into bed, and I was out like a light.
Oh, attaboy.
What a day.
Oh, but then
the
upshoot of it all, you missed out on a trip to Auckland because,
I know.
It's a shame.
I had visions of recovering in time, even at 6 o'clock this morning, still fretting over it. But bit too risky, unfortunately, boys.
Yeah.
Great to see you two together, though.
Well, and let's tap into it, because I was also conscious of the fact that Brad was all fizzing about the fact he gets to go in the Kuri Lounge. He's got his flights. He's going to go up to Christchurch. He'll meet you. Then he gets into the Kuri Lounge for the first time. That's all over.
I thought I was going to get a free chow mein.
And what happened? So you changed the day you flew up as well,
I changed the day I flew up. Yeah, I did. Rather than coming up and just... living like a rough sleeper yesterday around town, not knowing anyone or where to be or what to do. I thought, I might as well just stand in it and vape for a day and then come up a day later. But it turned out good. It actually turned out the ideal way coming up on the Saturday. I was trying to give Will a couple of hours.
Sounds like Mike could have put you to work all day yesterday, though, Brad.
There was a bit to do, man. But we got him round because, of course, you had nowhere to go. You can't get into your hotel, of course, these days until about 7 o'clock at night. So I was a bit worried about you tramping around Auckland. So you come over to my place, and we've just moved into a new joint. So I got you to sling the TV up on the wall, hang a picture. It was bloody useful, actually, and my wife was thrilled. She's like, I said, come and have a look at this. After you put the TV up, she comes in, she's like, oh my God, I didn't hear you swearing at all. Because that's how I do it. Nothing gets done without me effing and jeffing the house down. The dog goes and hides outside. The wife hides outside, and the kid's not too thrilled either. But so it's good to know that it can be done. I bet you were as surprised as anyone, Brad.
Oh, I was just waiting. I was thinking, here we go. I ended up putting the screws through a fucking pipe or livening up the whole house, electrical switches. This could go tits up. But no, it actually went reasonably. It didn't even need a stud finder. We gave it just the little taps, like a doctor taps on a chest, checking heart. Gave it a couple of taps and then whoosh her up. This drill, the most underpowered drill I've ever come across in my life, but we'll save that for another time. But it's been good, and it's going to continue to get good. This is a great day ahead.
It is, and my my plan for this weekend, because we've had a bit going on around our joint. So you guys were coming up. You said, "Oh, do you want to go to the game?" I said, "No, I need to have a weekend off the booze." And here we sit at what's the time? Midday, and I've got a beer. And I'm going to the game now. So I've gone from sitting at home and having an early one and God knows what's going to happen at this game. You must be actually pretty nervous, man, are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm still a little bit nervous. Not as nervous if I come up yesterday.
Yeah.
Way more nervous. I can do one night. I'm a one night only type of kid. But
right.
If we had got here last night and then we done the first night, like the old curtain raiser.
Yeah.
Get the curtain raiser out and then trying to do it today. But no, I'm nervous excitement. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. It's all new to me. Like Auckland is, I think that's how sorry he feels for me. All of a sudden he's dropped everything. Changed plans, put off all his mates just to be my carer.
Well, I said to the wife, I said, "Look, he's coming up here, this fella. I feel obliged to look after him." She's like, "Oh, that sounds good," but of course, I just want to get on the piss again. So.
Boy, thirsty bastard.
Yeah. So you made it sound like a Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Thing for Brad.
I'm helping him, man. It's going to be a ripper, man. I'm really looking forward to it. That is out of all of the games, and obviously this is why you chose it. Playing Melbourne at home. It's just going to be a mammoth game, and particularly given, and you didn't know this when you booked the tickets, but particularly given the state of the season, it's like Johnson coming back into the side. We've got 3 on the trot, top of the table. They did us in that opening round of the first few rounds, whenever it was, and she's going to be a ripper. Or we're going to get smashed.
Yeah, I know, but it's at least it's an all. I always say, imagine coming out to the Titans, and getting a flogging, and then going back to Dunedin. I can wear a loss to the Storm.
Yeah,
I think we've got them, and I don't care what sort of form they're in. We play them. I think we're fizzing at the moment, and we've got every chance to win this game. And by Christ, look out Auckland if they do. Leslie's boys on a rampage.
Now, you guys are heading to the game courtesy of our wonderful sponsors at Kingz Container Crew. They've teed up some TAB lounge tickets for you boys.
Thank you.
So thank you to Kingz. And
they won't be happy, mate. It's taking you 13 minutes to get that out. They'll be filthy.
Yeah, I know. I'm failing my contractual obligations here, but
too many tramadols before lunchtime, Will.
Yeah, I'm a bit spaced out, actually. So speaking of, it's time for my next round of codeines, boys. So if you can just vamp while I take care of that. But
get them in,
So, let's start with why league, Michael.
Oh, why league? Good question. Yeah. Well, I was raised probably more on union as everybody else was. I actually played football until I was 13 it would have been, rep footy, and went pretty good at that and enjoyed that. And then I went to St Pat's Silverstream, and you weren't allowed to play football there. Well, you were, but you know what I mean? It was sort of at that time you got to play rugby. So I started playing rugby there. Then when I was about 14, I discovered cigarettes and alcohol. So that was me sort of done. It's valuable sports time. Why would you spend time that you could be drinking and smoking cigarettes playing sport? But then, played rugby, a little bit of first 15 and 7th form, went back to it. But then every job I've had since was meant I couldn't train or do anything. So I was into rugby, but I got into league. It would have been, that series where Wally Lewis and Mark Geyer were going at each other. I still remember sitting in the lounge and watching that one and just being like all about Wally Lewis. I loved him barking up at Geyer like that. And Geyer thinking, Jesus, I don't, it might have been his first origin. I'm not too sure. He was a young man. He was a big boy, but you'd know more about that than I would.
He had played a couple. Yeah, he had played a couple and he'd been on a kangaroo tour, but he's still a fairly young sort of firebrand type, and that was a sort of big breakout series. He got a 6-week suspension on the back of that game for a flying elbow, pretty much on Paul Hoff. But but that halftime push and shove, it's just iconic. David Manson right in the middle of them.
It was an absolute gem.
And Graham Lowe coaching Queensland as well. I think that's like that seems to be everyone's first Origin series in New Zealand, and I think it had as much to do with anything of, making league huge over here.
And I'm not sure what the history of it being televised prior to that was. I'm not sure really how much coverage it got or anything like that. But the other thing I think was a part of it was that Queensland were very much the underdogs. And, New South Wales were pants them. So straight away, you don't want to support the team that's going good. I never have. So I was all over Queensland for that reason. But, just when there's scraps, it was just all go, man. It had it all. It had rugby, a bit of rugby in there, a bit of boxing, a bit of professional wrestling. It's like it was all rolled into one. It was bloody good fun. And then so that was it. And I always watched league. And then I remember when I was 18 watching the first game against the Broncos. I was down in Wellington as a student, being at a bar and watching that and just going, man, I was already in, but after that game, and that was the beauty of that first game. I mean, it got everybody hooked, and then they were just garbage really for a pretty extended
From the
period.
next weekend on,
yeah. And my dad as well was a massive league fan, and he hated rugby union with a passion. I think that sort of stuff is, and by and large, that's gone now. It's not as bad as it used to be. There's certainly a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But it used to just be like you were one or the other, and that was it.
Yeah.
But Dad, I remember he moved up to Hamilton and he got a new job, and of course nobody there knew that he hated the All Blacks. So whenever the All Blacks had a loss, Dad would go out into the kitchen and people were making a cup of tea and he's going, "Oh, no good about the All Blacks, eh?" And then the other fellow would be like, "Oh, no, man," and they'd just be depressed and they'd babble on for 10 minutes and he'd go back to his office and just crack up. And then half an hour later, he'd go back and talk to somebody else and just wind them up as well. So his greatest joy was league, and his second greatest joy was, when the All Blacks lost. Yeah, so I get something from him, probably that.
Yeah, out of it.
Any standout moments? I mean, obviously you said you've been on the bandwagon since day one, but with your sort of varied career and living in different places, did you ever drift out for seasons at a time, or
nah, man? I've always like my pennants. I love the Warriors because it's like having a football team. If you're in the UK, it's like your team is going to lose 90% of the games. It's going to be hell. You're not going to enjoy it, but you have to watch it.
Yeah. And
I'm a firm believer that you watch it from minute 1 to minute 80. I've got a real problem with people that go, "Oh, we're down by 40, I'm turning it off." It's like, no. You and your dog are sitting on that couch, whether you and your dog like it or not, and you've got to watch it to the end. And it just makes the good times better. If you're not going to sit there and have that, because eventually there's going to be good times. You hope. Yeah. And it just means the good times are that much better if you've put in. And it is put in, it's work.
It is.
I don't carry it into the week, but I was living over in Sydney, so I went to the semi-final in, was it 2002 against Cronulla, which was an...
Did you get one of the Eric Watson's
I absolutely did,
free
mate.
tickets?
I took you had to have your passport to prove that you're a Kiwi, and you went down there. I can't remember. It might have been, was it Vodafone? You went down somewhere.
Yeah, it was Vodafone.
And you could get 8 tickets at a time. So I got 8, and then another mate got 8. There was a whole bunch of us there, and it was the good seats, man. And it was at the SFS, and I remember we would start a Warriors chant, and by the third one, it was coming back at you from the other side of the ground. I mean, there could not have been more of a dead certainty that we were going to win that. It was a home game.
Yeah.
It was absolutely unbelievable, and then went to the grand final as well. And it was weird, but I never had an expectation that we were going to win that game. It felt like we were in it for a bit, but then who was it that put in that shocking hit from us and fired Adrian Morley up? And who's that?
Villasanti
put that.
Richard Villasanti.
Yeah, put that shocking late. I think it was a late hit, and then Adrian Morley fired up, and then the tide turned. That was Morley had a blinder. So I've always been there, but I guess one thing I've got no recollection of the grand final in, was it 2011?
Manly won.
I rewatched that game recently, and I was like, man, I don't remember having ever seen this in my life.
And you were there.
No, I didn't go to that one, but I 1,000% would have watched it. But I was just like, I've just completely blocked this out of my head.
I had one of the biggest domestics I've ever had with my wife.
Oh, did you?
I was an angry beast getting around the house, and she was trying to calm me down. I said, "You've only been a fan for 5 years. You don't know." We had this massive, and I just sat out on the deck for 3 hours by myself, just thinking of how I was going to apologise. Yeah, it was a real bad move, but just the passion got to me, and she was the first person I seen.
I had one of those as well. We were watching the 2011 Rugby World Cup, and the final whistle went, and I jumped up on the chair, and there's a bar stool, we're at a pub, and I jumped up, and joy, but in doing so in the process, I kicked the bar stool, and it smashed my girlfriend at the time in the shin. So I'm trying to celebrate. She's screaming in pain, and I'm like, you're right. And it was just, but that was pretty much a fair indication of the entire relationship, to be honest with you. It was, didn't get to enjoy that one.
But you got to enjoy Magic Round as well, mate.
Yeah, went to Magic Round, was a goodie. Magic Round was good.
Yeah,
phenomenal. Have you been to that before, Will?
No, I lived in Brisbane for a long time, but that was before Magic Round. Then it's definitely been on our list to do.
Yeah,
but we haven't made it yet. We were hoping that Brad was going to win those tickets from the big show, but I didn't read the draw for us.
I was all in on that. But
no, that would have
one day.
People would have done an investigation into that. But after going to it, because I'll be honest with you, man, I just thought we're going to get over there. It's going to be full of, in all respect to Fonz, but mongrel Australians that are just going to be absolutely pissed off their heads. There's going to be scraps everywhere.
Yeah.
It'll be a nightmare. And I tell you, we were there and, they sort of start at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Every single one of them's on the punt. They're all on the pokies. They're drinking, all day. And we did not see one fight, not one argument, not one disagreement. It was just the best group of people.
Yeah, wow.
Can't recommend it highly enough. We'll absolutely go back again. It's incredible.
How many games did you do over the weekend?
Yeah.
Did 2 the first day, 1 the second, and then after the Warriors won on the Sunday, we went back to Caxton Street, and that was us. After that, I was like, I'm not going to watch any more games after that. Forget it. Let's see what happens with, God knows, Titans.
Wouldn't care if you've never seen another game in your life.
Yeah, it was an absolute all-timer. And so, we were meant to come back. So I don't know who planned it, but we were meant to come back straight after the game, go straight to the airport straight after that game, which we didn't really have a problem with because we all assumed, didn't we, that we're just going to get smoked.
Yeah.
There's not a person on the planet that thought we had any chance of winning.
Get out of Dodge.
But then when we won, man, it was like, there's no way. So I rang our boss. So I worked for Radio Hauraki, and we'd done that competition, took some winners over, and I just rang the boss. I said, we're not coming home, man. And he's like, all right. Righto. And then they had to rebook our flights, and the only flights left were premium economy. So we got the luxury return as well, so that was nice.
Oh, how good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But for everybody out there, do whatever you have to do to get over for that. It's amazing.
Yeah, nice.
And I'd recommend just go to your team. That stadium is incredible.
It is. Yeah, I've even been there.
Yeah,
it is.
It's amazing. You don't line up for booze. It's just quicker. Everything about it is incredible. But I'd say you probably only really need to go for the team that you want to see, and maybe there might be one other good game there. And other than that, just hang out on Caxton Street and lay into it.
Did your competition winners also miss the flight home on the Sunday?
No, they were flying back the next day anyway.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were sweet, but they were worthy winners, those boys. They really put in.
Yeah?
Yeah, young fellas, they went hard.
That's cool, because that must be tough. You never know what you're going to get.
Well, one guy went over, he came over, he went a few days over with his partner. They had a few days together. Then she went away on a yoga retreat while he went to Magic Round, and his best mate flew over and took the tickets for Magic Round. Boom. And so by the end of the weekend, she was brand new, and they were both they were shambles. But it's well worth doing.
Yes.
Mike, you get to chat about the Warriors a lot on Hauraki's big show. It must be good to incorporate that into your main day job.
I don't know how much we'd be talking about it if we were losing, but I do. And I mean, in our very first show, our very first episode, it was just me and Jace really then. I said, and later on we'll be talking about the Warriors, and Jay said, under no condition will we ever talk about the Warriors on this radio show, the very first show. So I made it a point to continue doing it. And it is, man. It's nice. And we get Charlie Gubb on there. And he's an absolute character. If you haven't heard the Waddle Ad podcast with James Marshall, he interviews Charlie Gubb, who is just one of the most unbelievably funny individuals on the face of the earth. So after hearing that, I was like, well, we've got to get him on. And, he's just a classic, man. So we get that, and then we do a Teamless Tuesday, and then we do a Friday, anything to fill up the break. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all over it. Putting us out of business, Will.
Yeah, no, just settle down, boys. Any other standout players from, obviously you've got this relationship with Charlie Gubb now, but any players from yesteryear that sort of stand out as your favourites or that embody what you love about the club?
It was funny, you guys did the list of fullbacks the other day, which you absolutely butchered with Wade McKinnon. And that for me, that was having Ali Lauatiti and having Wade McKinnon, who would just time his runs off the shoulder. Like Lauatiti would hit the line, get his arms free, and Wade McKinnon would just be hitting the gap like an absolute bullet. And I just
I don't want to embarrass you here, Mike, but Ali Lauatiti left the club 3 years before Wade McKinnon arrived.
Well, who was that then?
Who would have been running off then?
I don't know. They would have had some good offloading forwards in 07.
Oh, no, I think you're wrong there. It's very clear in my memory, man. Yeah, I think you're on the same Wikipedia page where you got the facts about me. But that's my memory of him, is just hitting those, him being an absolute weapon. I mean, he was no Sam Tompkins, to his credit. But yeah, definitely Lauatiti, McKinnon, Stacey Jones is an obvious one. Kevin Campion, I loved. We sort of had a little period there where we'd get these Aussie hard bastards over, and I always enjoyed having those guys in, and it seemed to make a difference to the club when we had them come in. I was a big fan of Brent Tate.
What about before he came?
I think he was pretty underrated. Well, he was at Brisbane, wasn't he?
Because he disgusted me as a player when he was at Brisbane, but then I fell in love with him as a Warrior. But yeah, he was one of my worst. When they signed him up, I was like, oh, you're joking. Do I look at that mug in a jersey each week?
Yeah.
But no,
Roger Ramjet, he had a jaw on him. He had a hell of a jaw on him. And but he was bloody good. And Steve Price, when he showed up, I think we've always had, Isaac, there's been so many. Even Luke wasn't at the the absolute in his absolute prime, as seems to be the way when we get people over. But yeah, man, it's been we've had some pretty amazing players. It's weird looking back at that first team and Dean Bell and the sort of setup that you had there. But yeah, we went pretty good there for a bit.
Anyone on the radar at the moment that you're picking as the next great? Like the new crop coming through?
Well, you guys you certainly watch the highlights. You watch the reserve grade stuff and all of that. I've got time in my life for one game of league a week, enough. I reckon. Anything outside of that is a pretty hard sell to the missus. And I don't like sitting around. I'm watching a hell of a lot more of it than I used to, though. I nearly even made it to Origin the other night, nearly watched that live, and I'm glad I didn't. Got to about 9:45, I was like, nah, fuck at this. And so I went to bed and then woke up in the morning and put it on at about 6 o'clock in the morning. And then when old mate got knocked out, I turned it off. So I thought that'll be about the end of it.
That's why I've drifted out of Origin. It's too late. So now it's been so many years of not following it that I do not have a preference who wins, who loses. It just means nothing to me now. Yeah. It's just two Australian teams playing each other.
I still definitely have my preference. But yeah, staying up till midnight watching it is just,
This is a complete Bradism, but I prefer the Queensland players in the team, but I hate Queensland. And I prefer New South Wales as a team, but I don't like the New South Wales players. So it's a real confusing thing for me sitting there watching. I don't know what I'm doing. So I usually just bin it.
Mike, you came into acting and broadcasting pretty late in life, I guess. You weren't sort of predestined to be doing what you're doing now and what you've done over the last sort of 6 or 7 years
15.
in entertainment?
Yeah, 15 years.
Oh.
Yeah. Ali Lautiti.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Wade McKinnon. I know I look 35, man, but
Doesn't in real life.
But how do you look back on that sort of transition now? I know I listened to your Between Two Bears podcast episode, which was outstanding, but you sort of talk a lot about, how you came into that sort of work, almost sort of, sliding doors moments. How do you sort of look back on it now that you've been involved?
Yeah,
been doing what you're doing.
I've had a lucky life, man, I think, and I've had a ball pretty much the whole way through. And I think it's just I worked it out pretty early on. Well, actually, is that true? Probably about my mid-20s. I'd had a good stint over in Aussie on the enjoy myself over there, and sort of got to about 26 and thought, Jesus, I better get on with something here because all I'm doing is going out. I was doing furniture removals, and I sort of blinked, and it had been 4 years of doing furniture removals, and you just think, I don't know.
Not much of a future.
I don't know. There's always going to be another house tomorrow it's got a couch that needs shifting up 3 stories. So, yeah, and I don't know how I did it, man, to be honest with you. But anyway, I did, and then I came back to New Zealand and ended up getting into the film industry through a mate. But I sort of worked out, must have been around about there, that I just had to say yes to things. And when I came back, I wanted to start making short films. And so I just said, every year I have to make one thing, like a short film or be involved in. So I had no aspirations of being an actor or anything like that. I was interested in writing, but had never done anything at all. And growing up in Levin, I never thought, it's probably more of a personal thing than growing up in Levin, but I never thought there was any chance that you could do that. But then a couple of my mates from Levin ended up working on Lord of the Rings. And so, yeah, I just made it my rule to just always work and try and do one thing a year, because there's a lot of people, like when you start working in film, man, you turn up, there's breakfast there, like there's scrambled eggs and muesli and there's bacon and there's, smoothies and all this sort of stuff. It's absolutely incredible. And, I'd be in there like a kid at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, just my eyes bulging even further out of my head than usual. And and you got, these guys that have been in the industry for years going, there's only 2 types of eggs today. And, they're pissing and moaning about it. I was just like, I'm never going to be that guy. I never want to be in it so long or, not appreciate enough that I start bitching about it. So, yeah, just made sure that I was always working. And then the other thing was putting the rule in place where I always said yes to everything. So anything that came along, I would always say yes to it. And so that meant that I was always going to be trying things that I otherwise wouldn't. And I think when you say no, generally the reason you say no is because you've been guided by fear. What happens if I fail? What happens if I fuck it up? Mm-hmm. What will people think of me if I fuck this up, But I had been doing that anyway. I'd sort of been too scared to try things, because if I try it, I might fail, and then my mates will think I'm shit, or or other people will judge you for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, the ultimate failure is that you don't try at all, right? It takes you a while to learn that. So yeah, and that was the case with the acting. I was a runner, which normally you do for 1 or 2 jobs, and then you go off into other things. But I didn't like anything else. I'd go off and I'd be a camera assistant, and that was boring, or an AD, or didn't like that. So I was just a runner, man, just a gopher, and I loved it, because you just everyone's 5-minute friend. You'd turn up, you'd pick up stuff, you'd drop it off, and that was about it. But I loved doing that. And then while I was doing that, I got asked if I'd ever done any acting and if I wanted to try out for this film role, and I said no. And then I went home and I said,
hang on,
why am I saying no? And it was because I was scared. So I was like, okay, I've got to do it. So I auditioned for that role, and I don't think I deserved to get it, but I got it. And then from there, I just absolutely loved it.
What was that role? Was that?
It was Errol the Fireman in a film called Separation City,
which
had Joel Edgerton in it. And just fell in love with it. And I would never have, you never know what you're going to love if you're not trying anything. You know what I mean? You don't know how, I could be the best builder in the world, but because I get Brad to put my TV up for me, I'm never going to know.
You're not gonna
yeah. But yeah, I think it's really important just to say, and so that's what it's been ever since then. So it's just been yes, yes, yes. And that's just led into, so acting, writing, a little bit of directing, producing, radio stuff, ACC, a bit of commentary, Now I own the business here. Got a talent agency in the podcast studio, and it's just have a crack, man. It's absolutely have a crack, and you never know what your life's going to be if you're having a crack at stuff. And the other thing is, I've got a fucking awesome missus. You know, we just back each other. You know, that's like we're both of us are just like have a go, man. Yeah. And if one of us is having a bit of doubt, the other one puts the pressure on. It's like you're doing it, man, whether you like it or not. And I can't speak to how important it is to have someone like that in your life. So if you've got a shit missus, if you've got a shit boyfriend, fuck them off.
Bit of life advice. This is great.
Honestly, man, it's yeah. There's nothing. You're better off alone. It's
I'm picking like you were saying, just saying yes to everything. That industry, I'd say you got to be present all the time too to climb as well. If you start saying no to things, they'll just next cab. You've always got to be present. Hey, I'm still here. Yeah,
I'd be doing jobs and then I'd go back to live in between jobs, and I was finding that people would forget about you. So you sort of needed to be, and this is 20 years ago. So but you had to stay in Wellington and be at the pubs and see people, be in the bars, so they know that you're around, because otherwise they forget you. And once you've done a couple of jobs, you're all good.
Yeah.
But it's been good fun, man. And being in the arts in New Zealand, you do have to do everything because you don't get paid well enough in one thing. It's not consistent enough. It's not an easy life. It's not well paid at all. It's a really tough pathway to stick at. Most people will do it for 10 years, have a kid, and then they've got to go and get a real job, you know.
What one gives you the most enjoyment now? Writing, producing?
I don't do any writing anymore because I haven't got any time. What is it? Probably honestly, man, my happiest place would be the radio.
And it sounds that. It comes across that way. It's an out of it show, that one. It's like a lot of shows, it sounds like they've had to give a little bit of themselves up to do the show and just change their character. But you can tell it's just you three boys doing that show. That's exactly what you like, just biffing it out.
Yeah.
I really comes across that way over the years.
Yeah, and it is genuinely like that. We do, like, you've got a businessman and you guys know what it's like when it's super stressful. We're like pumping the hours out, like huge amount of hours. You're trying to get it right. There's external things happening that aren't in your control, so you're trying to come up with all these ways that you can make it work. But when you walk through the doors of the studio, all that stuff goes out the window. All it is three mates having a yarn, and I'm glad that that's how it comes across, because that is what it is. Like, any one of us can walk it through the doors and be in a shit of a mood, and you leave stoked. Like, you're cracking each other up straight away, and it's been a real build. And a credit to Kingz, we didn't know him from a bar of soap. Jason and I had done
All Talk, was it?
Yeah, All Talk. Yeah, that's right, because we'd sort of met.
That's when I first started listening. Yeah,
right. Yeah, so we met, and I just said to Jason, well, if we do a podcast, there's a chance we might get a radio show out of it. So we did about 30, and then we got the radio show, and they bundled us up with Chris, which was a story of itself. It's like, hang on a minute, who's this bastard? They're trying to stitch us up by chucking another guy in there. And he had to take a back seat, and he thought he was going to be, he thought he was going to be fun. And to his credit, man, he swallowed his pride and he stuck it out. And now that show is infinitely better as a result of him having the balls to do that and finding his position, because Jason and I still didn't know each other very well at all, so we were trying to work it out.
Yeah.
And so then Kingz sort of found his place in it, and I think we're so much stronger as a three than we would be if it was just two old bastards talking shit.
You can tell when there's just and it's no offense to anyone, and it doesn't matter what to it in the studio that day. Yeah. There's a different vibe to it than if it's a three is just there bouncing off each other.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think there's nothing. It's not that it's shit all of a sudden. Yeah. It's just that it's a different feel and rhythm to everything. Yeah,
you got to have all the ingredients.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, well, one day, Will. Hey? One day.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky to have our sort of third in Foms. I think he's probably helped keep us going as long as we have. I know we don't often all three of us jump in together, but he gives us a different dynamic from the, I guess, dog's breakfast that it started with me and you. But I guess we kind of started it up as just a way to sort of hang out for an hour every week, and it's a good mental health boost. And at the time, there's a shitload of Warriors podcasts now, but at the time there was only one other, and thought we'd give it a nudge. But yeah.
And that is the one, right? Because
now.
if you're just going to, if you say, oh, yeah, man, I'll give you a ring on the weekend or blah, blah, it never happens.
No.
But if you got something like this, then it forces the hand a little bit and you do get to catch up. It's bloody good.
Well, I have to say, I have to give credit to Brad here because, we've been mates for 20 years, but, usually, I don't know what you guys are like, but sort of just message mates, text message or messenger or whatever. Brad's always been amazing at just calling you out of the blue. I actually when it first started happening, I kind of found it a little bit unusual. But it was fucking awesome. I could always get it, tell a few yarns, would always have a laugh, and it was actually this amazing little mental health kick. It just sort of unfolded from there. We'd end up talking about the Warriors shitloads, and we kind of thought these phone calls are reasonably entertaining. Maybe we should, was your idea really, Brad?
You keep saying that. I can't remember. I must have been pissed as a chook when I come up with that because I can't remember that at all. But it's
full of bravado.
But 6 years later, we're still chipping away, aren't we? Yeah, so bloody good.
Yeah, we've thought about chucking it in at times, but glad that we've.
I can't wait till we're in the doldrums again. Honestly, man, I can't wait to listen to this podcast.
It gets pretty feral
when we're on the rocks again.
The segues get longer and longer. We're way off topic.
But it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you're always dissecting it when a team's going badly. What is the answer and all this sort of stuff, and you got no idea, man. I remember reading Brendan McCullum's autobiography and having opinions about stuff that had happened over the course of his career, and then you read his autobiography and find out what was actually going on, and you're like, Jesus Christ. You're just miles off. You got no idea whatsoever, and I think Webster's been really great for that as well. You just go, oh, okay, having a guy that understands people, like the difference between the year before he arrived and then the year after, you got the same ingredients, but all of a sudden it's edible. What's been put on the table, it's not getting chucked straight to the. It's just, what an incredible human he is.
He's unflappable. I watched his press conference this week, and every time I listen to him, he just impresses the shit out of me. That guy, he says everything that you want to hear at the right time. He's got the answers for everything, I guess is what I'm trying to say. He's got an answer for everything and a reason for everything. A couple more losses he was starting to get a bit frazzled.
I'll tell you what, those post-match conferences after that fourth loss, he wasn't looking too. It was starting to, he's like, hang on a minute, maybe I don't know what I'm doing.
Face like a beaten favourite, yeah. But he was that sort of, and as I was watching, what are your thoughts on another team in New Zealand? Everyone's yapping about this. I've got my pretty strong thoughts about it. What are you thinking?
But the issue that I've got with sports in general, man, I think you can take a look at rugby with how not to do things. And I think there's this obsession with growth.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why you're so obsessed with growing the game. Like, you've got such an incredible product at the moment, or an incredible sport. It's super competitive. Every year it's amazing. It's so tight. You look at the competition, the ladder, Fonz loves looking at the ladder, but, there's a couple of points separating. It's like it can't get any better, but it's like, okay, we've got to get the Americans involved. We're off to Papua New Guinea where, another team in New Zealand. It's like just have it be like the season is already long enough.
Yeah.
And now what we're going to get to is exactly what rugby did, and we're going to start breaking into conferences. And then at that point, man, she's all over.
Just gets diluted to shit. Yeah.
It should, in my opinion, they should play each other play each other. What do they got? Is it home and away they're doing? I reckon you play each other once, and then you're into the finals. And that's enough, man, because I think you need to, for me, I enjoy sport when I get an opportunity to miss it.
Yeah.
And I've gone right off rugby because you don't get an opportunity to miss it. They play 10 months out of the year, and the same things happen with cricket now. It's like every time you turn around, there's a World Cup.
It's not a novelty anymore.
No, exactly. It's like you need to look forward. You're like, oh man, this season started. It's like, well, it's only just finished. And so I think there's an obsession with that sort of stuff, and I don't think it benefits the game. I think they're constantly thinking about money, and I think when the focus is on money, then everything just goes to shit. And you can look at NZR for that, for a prime example, because I used to love rugby, absolutely love the Hurricanes, and now I haven't watched a second of Super Rugby this year, and I'll put the All Blacks on, and that just becomes your team, because otherwise it's just it's non-stop, man.
No, it's broken their game, and I like the way that the single New Zealand team unifies a country for once. you bring a second team into, then you're dividing the country where at the moment we're all in against those Aussie guys, and you'll lose it.
I think you're sorry. You go, man.
No, I just think you'll
I've
lose
talked
that.
enough.
Have you? You had a guts for right. Shut her up.
No,
Flicker.
I could do some listening in this episode.
Yeah. What do you got, Will?
Brad, can you move that beer off the edge of the table? It looks like it's hanging over from here. Yeah, that's better. It's a bit of a phobia of mine. Mike, I just wanted to ask you about...
Hang on, mate. What are your thoughts about the team? Because I sort of do understand that because it's going so well and you put a second team and you've got a real opportunity now to steal all these players off rugby union. So I think that is, obviously there's that side of it. And, I guess why not? But I don't know, man. I just think if it's not broke, just fucking get your hands off it.
I just think they're seeing the success of the Warriors and think anyone can do it. So let's chuck another team in there and do the same.
I think there would be the numbers because I think you steal everybody off rugby union. I think now, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it because the Warriors are going good. So kids growing up will want to play for the Warriors or at least play rugby league. So that part of it makes sense. Yeah. There's no point doing it at any other time in our 20, in our history.
Just this week, first time and all the time I've lived in Dunedin, we've had an email sent out because of our boys are at a certain age and starting a junior rugby league comp, trying to start that after the rugby season in Dunedin. So
awesome.
That did not exist. No way. League, you just didn't even hear of it down there.
Yeah.
So now that's even starting to make a little ripple there. So there is a huge growth. Yeah. What do you think, Will?
Oh, look, I'd be behind having a team based in Christchurch. I'm probably a little bit biased because I'm here, but it'd be if they are gonna expand, they'll I think the South Island team is one of the logical options if you get the right funding and all that. New covered stadium. The Warriors are going really well. You have that rivalry instantly, but they've historically overlooked players from the South Island. There's only a couple that have even come from here to play first grade for the Warriors. Usually they have to go away and come back like Lewis Brown did. I know the Warriors are sort of making out like they're New Zealand's team, and they are now, but for 27 years or so, they kind of drop the ball as far as looking after the regions, or scouting out, the best players from down here. And I also think, going up to Auckland for a kid that's with, near his family in Christchurch isn't that much different than going to Australia. So that whole keep them here thing isn't quite the same as, being able to stay
in a way
with their family in Christchurch.
It'd take a wee bit of pressure off the Warriors too, because it wouldn't have people all from down south barking at them. When are you going to bring a game down here? When are we going to see in Christchurch? And then trying to shoehorn that into a season. Yeah. They could happily just stay in Auckland.
Which always devastates me when they take one on the road. You're like, oh, God, here we go, another loss.
It's terrible. It fails.
Their record is unbelievable.
It's worse, isn't it? I think I learned that on your podcast, that our games outside of Eden Park, but outside of Mount Smart, but within New Zealand, we've got a worse record than in Australia.
By every metric, it's terrible, but good to see them. They've got a couple of wins up. Broke the Hamilton Duck last year. Got that Christchurch win earlier this season. Mike, I did want to ask you about Levin and going back to Wikipedia.
Oh, good.
Because and the town that I live in, little old Amberley, it's been in the news twice. Once for a giant tyre fire, and once because the electric car charging station at our supermarket exploded.
Tyre fire like Springfield.
That's right.
Levin's Wikipedia page is pretty brief, but
I bet it is.
Maybe about a quarter of it is made up of a recent car rally down there. So you would have been pretty stoked to see
I saw that in
back
that.
in the news.
Was that the boy races the other week?
Yeah. It was pumping down there. It was nice to see they got a big clock at the top of what was the post office, which was broken for all of my childhood. They've replaced it with it was a digital one, and it would just.
Did it have the thermometer? Would it flash between that and the temperature?
It would, man, but all of, they make it made up of the little bars on each side to make, but all of those ended up blacking out. So, it was just, it's a shambles of a joint. But they've changed it into a proper one.
How many people
now.
in this town? Is it
18 or so?
Oh.
20?
Oh, shit. So there is
1,000. Jake. Potty Jake's cracking up.
He's thinking
18
he's paid
people there.
20. The Minogues and the Simpsons. Yeah, sweet.
Is that what it says, man? About 18K?
Yeah, last census 19,800.
There you go.
I was pitching the whole end up with Greymouth sort of size.
It's very popular with retirees.
Oh,
because it's flat.
Okay.
There's no hills, so old people move there. Climate's pretty moderate, and you don't have to walk up any hills.
So they just
So if you want to go to it's got great op shopping because there's so many old people that die there. Yeah. So if you want to get yourself a new suit, Brad, on the way home, you stop it at Levin.
shoot up to Levin, stop off in Welly. I do need to see it.
You haven't quite made it to Levin's Wikipedia list of notable people, though, Mike.
Not shocked. Who's
on there?
Who is notable?
Who have you
It'll
got?
be a
You
short
got
list,
Rebecca
man.
Gibney.
Yeah.
Rebecca Gibney, the actress.
She's just sold a house in Dunedin.
Johnny says the Lomax boys are from there. Carlos Spencer,
Yeah.
James Tamo, Cody Taylor. I didn't realise
Yeah.
that. Oh, Roger Toos, actually.
Well, Roger
yeah.
Toos is English.
Yeah.
He's British, isn't he?
Yeah, he was. And I remember he coached me in cricket when I was at primary school there. Well, actually, I think he only came for one session. I just remember it was summer. I remember lying on my stomach in the grass there, and Roger laid down beside me there, not behind me. And he had his his open neck shirt, as was the way in the 80s, his hairy chest and a gold medallion, reeking of Old Spice, and all the kids were lying there, and he was just pointing out the field positions. And I've got this memory of just breathing in his musk, Brad.
Toosie.
Old Toosie.
He's a good darter, wasn't he?
He loved to dart. Yeah, he's a good-looking man, Roger
Yeah.
Toosie. He had something about him.
He was one of my faves back in the day.
Yeah.
Was he number 3, first drop?
She was slim pickings. She was slim pickings, to be fair. But yeah, that's weird. I didn't actually know that he lived there. I don't know what he was doing there, to be honest with you. But yeah.
Is there no Wall of Fame in Levin?
Well, if you go to the Hauraki College page, I've been alerted that I've been updated onto that one, and that's got about 3 people on it, I think. That's a very, very short list.
Scholars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but Carlos Spencer, he was I think he was a year older than me. Yeah. Him and his brother, both very, very, just insanely good footballers. They won the Condor Sevens, Waipu College. They had a hell of a team back then.
Wasn't Carlos Spencer playing provincial rugby at 16 or something?
16 years playing for Hauraki, and we won the 3rd division. I think it might have been against Bush. We used to have a hell of a rivalry with Buller. We're always getting pumped in the final and Wanganui, actually. So what was that? He played in that year, in the year that we won. There's a photo of him on the front page of the paper. 16 years old, a tattoo of a falcon on his forearm with a can of Lion Red in his hand.
Car or animal?
Yeah, just the animal. And and so then after that, I think Auckland came and played that year. We got pumped about 100-10 or something like that. Jonah was in that team. Graham Henry was coaching, and then Carlos went up to Auckland after that as a 17-year-old, I think. As a young man.
What do you got for us, Brad? You
I've
must have
slowly been chipping away.
a few poses.
I had been just slowly chipping away as we've been talking, so I think I've dropped
Probably
most
enough
of them in
of me,
there.
man, if you just want to talk about league.
No, I think we've just about flipped through all my questions. Skywriting. Whatever happened to skywriting? You know, the planes, smoke.
Yeah. I've
Is that
never
gone
actually
by the
seen it in
wayside?
real life.
Is that
It's
just
still
something that's occurred to you
Oh,
now?
it's just on the plane this morning. I was looking out and there was sort of this wispy cloud, and I was like, I wonder if Michael will know anything about this. Yeah, so
I haven't seen that for a long time. You're right.
Nah. Or even just dragging that banner.
I've seen a bit of banner dragging.
Do they still drag the banner?
Oh, they drag a banner.
How do they get it up?
I
Do they just run it down the runway?
think they chuck it out the back once they're up, wouldn't they? Out the side
That's probably
door.
not a bad
Cessna.
Single
I'd
engine
say
crash.
so, but we'll certainly look into it. One of the advantages of Potty Jake here, our producer, is he does fact checking, so we'll certainly get on some skywriting yarns.
It's funny. When I was thinking of a list yesterday, and I was sort of just driving to pick up Otis from school and just cruising along just in full daydream mode. And then I just sort of hooked around this corner, and there's this probably a lady in her 50s in like a flash Kia just giving me the bird. Like, I looked, I was like, is that chick just giving me the fingers? And I was like, fuck, she is there. And I was just so daydream, no indicating at all. She was sitting in this old Brad just hooked in, and it's this little old woman just flipping me off. I thought, sign written truck, I'm going to get something on my Facebook site here. I'm just going to have to go with it as well. But yeah, no, that's about all I've got. Skywriting.
And old ladies.
And old ladies giving me the bird. That's not bad, eh?
Yeah. Well, I think we've probably done enough, do you think?
Yeah, I reckon so. Any thoughts about the game tonight?
Game tonight, I'm confident. I am confident.
I'm loving this. Like, people are going to hear this after the fact, of course, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what we could talk about.
That's exactly
is a mix and pick.
Yeah. You would obviously, I'd picked before you this week because last week I thought I was onto it. I see your little head, and I'm like, I'm just gonna follow him around the board here.
So this is this quiz that you can go on. The link will be on the TWL Facebook page or Instagram, somewhere around there, and you run a quiz every week, and it's like gambling without gambling. I get investment now, and I'm checking the ladder, and I'm seeing what the movement's going to be on the ladder, so you can sort of pick how far up the Warriors will go after this week's game. And I'm getting right into it, man. There's no money on it, but I'm desperate to win. And you guys were talking about me a few weeks ago, and I was in 84th, and Brad was bagging the shit out of me. God, he's a no-show, man. He's useless. We don't have to worry about him. Well, now I've rocketed up to 24th. So I'm thrilled.
My problem is now you can sort of adjust live. There's a little bit of a live adjusting going on.
Well, no, I haven't done that at all.
You haven't?
That's
where I thought you were getting me.
No, I think you have to stick to your picks. I don't agree with the change in mid-game. That's bullshit.
No, because that's where I thought I was like, this nerd's going deep. It's like, watch it. Just enjoy the footy, would you, Mike?
6 screens open at home. Yeah, man.
Mix and pick. I'm confident. I actually took it a bit more serious this week.
Oh, did you? Right. Sure.
I just sort of chuck in. I let Ted do it last week, I think. I let him do my choices. Yeah.
Did you get the trivia question right?
This week?
A bit hard for you.
What was that one?
What was the trivia question? Remind us.
It was a multiple choice of from the last time the Warriors beat the Storm back in 2015, the famous Nathan Brown backflip try-assist game. And I gave you a list of players who were in that game.
Oh, that must have been added today.
When has this been added?
Yeah. I think it was yesterday. You better get on to it.
This is what I get left behind. No, I will. So what are the options?
I can't remember what options I gave.
Nathan Brown, anyway. You've had too much
Nathan Friend was the... Did I say Brown? Jeez, I'm flaking out, boys. But yeah. You can go and play that one later, boys. Make sure you do it before kickoff. But Mix and Pick, great friends of the podcast, and we're certainly happy to have them on board with us. What we had last week was, and you'd be pretty happy, Mike, that you're on the right side of the fence of this one, the old would you rather debate. 100 horse-sized ducks or one duck-sized horse that you'd want to fight.
Yeah. I mean, that was,
It's funny in a Warriors podcast how this has probably brought out the most discussion out of anything we've put up over 7 years. Horse-sized duck-sized horse.
Well, I heard you guys arguing about it and saying a duck-sized horse would be all good. You'd bring its neck. It's like, well, it'd have a neck like a horse. Good luck breaking that. And it's like fighting a duck-sized horse would be like fighting a horse-sized horse. It'd be absolutely impossible.
We've got a new one which I might try on your live, but Roxy's Would You Rather, she was so stoked to hear you guys make such a big deal of it that she's fired through a whole bunch of Would You Rather. I'll give you this one. This is the next cab off the rank. But
there we go.
Would you rather have to talk in a baby voice 100% of the time, or have everyone else talk to you in a baby voice 100% of the time?
Have everyone else.
Pretty shit for your radio show.
Have everyone else, I think.
Yeah, I'll be looking after number one as well.
Yeah, because it cheers you up when people talk to you like that.
Why can't you give us some with two good choices? Why do they always have to be shit choices, Roxy?
That's a great one, yeah.
Give us something good. Would you rather go to Barbados or the Maldives? Yeah. Did I mispronounce both of them then? I think I'm on the codeine.
Man, you've got an auto cue behind behind the camera there, don't you, Brad? Just misreading it.
Oh, sweet. But I reckon, what do you reckon, Will? Is
Happy
that an
days.
interview?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just about to go down and have a nap. I think I'm really
Just to
fading fast.
paint a picture of Will, who's if you're not seeing the video, he's wearing a hospital handed out dressing gown. He's unshaven, there's dribble all down his chest and crumbs of some description. So, yeah, we better let you hit the hay, brother.
And a red bucket in the background.
Yeah,
That's in a bucket of piss.
You guys have got it.
Like an obese mess.
Filled to the brim.
Yeah, I don't want to have to do too many trips to empty it out. May as well, You guys have got a bit of pre-game preloading to do as well. What's the plan? Are you gonna hang out with look after Brad for the rest of the day?
Mike's got a play date.
Yeah, I've got a play date, man. It's all a bit of a shamble. So I thought I'd nearly gotten out of it, but I've been right back in. So I got to go to a mate's place for an hour. I'll take the kid out there. That's at about, I'm going to sneak out there early. I said 3, but I'm going to get out there a bit earlier. So do that. That's for a mate's birthday. And I'll take my daughter so I've got an excuse to leave. And then
pinch her under the table, starts crying.
And then I'll find Brad somewhere, and we'll get out there because I do want to get to Lily World.
Yeah, what is this? Oh, that's all new
So
to
Lily
me.
World, you never went to a big day out either, did you?
No.
So it's a bar that's right next to, it's right on the fence line of Mount Smart, and it's a great bar. Everybody turns up there. But what's absolutely incredible about this joint, and this is how good the Warriors are going, this is a bar. Now, if this was the All Blacks, you'd be told to go out and go around to the main gates. This bar has got a gate that goes straight into the ground.
Oh, wow.
So it's a separate bar, but you can go straight through this gate into the ground. You can take your beers through the gate with you.
Oh, wow.
And you're just straight in. Now, it's that kind of stuff, man, that makes such a difference to your game day experience.
Why didn't the Warriors buy that joint?
Well, I think they probably do own it. Or they'd have some involvement. But it's just like having that instead of like, you got to do it by the book. They're always looking for a way to make things harder, but the Warriors, they're really making it as easy and as enjoyable as possible.
Yeah, it's a very hospitable event,
It is.
a Warriors game now,
It's
isn't
hospitable.
Terrible, man. Gee whiz.
Mike, being a notable person, not quite a Levin Wikipedia page notable person, but notable nonetheless. If you go to somewhere like Lily World, do you get people coming up to you all the time?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, most of it is, it's pretty much the same dude. It's the same. He's 23 years old. He's got brown hair. He's got a bit of stubble, and he's pissed off his head. And I'll get 50 of those come up to me. I've never had a woman come up to me in my life, not one. It's probably the safest thing. Like, my wife's got no worries whatsoever, man, because I haven't met a woman in 10 years.
Dude's yelling backbone at you.
It is. It's just every bar's like, backbone, mogi. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it's good. But it's a real joy, and I'm really lucky. Everybody is a good bastard. Everybody, comes up. It's real easy. You have a yarn. It's a photo. It's like, mate, if you're going to get pissed off about that, there's something wrong with you. It's really awesome. The people are gold, and normally got a few beers in them, so it's always funny.
Yeah, nice. So you guys are going to have a blast. I'm gutted I'm not there with you, but I'm absolutely stoked that Brad does have a chaperone, because I was a little bit worried about him.
I'll tell you what, man. You've got somebody else coming, though, haven't you? Because I think we both might need a chaperone.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we're going to need a...
I don't know. I think you guys might be chaperoning him.
Jesus.
It's a motley trio. Not that I would have been much better as part of it, but I can't wait to see how it pans out.
Oh, God.
I'm going to go. I've been up since a sparrow's fart this morning.
Get a sleep
so
in
I'm
you, man.
going to go to the hotel. I think there's some bloody V8s on as well. I might watch a little
V8s
V8s go around in circles for an hour and just snooze, and then get fizzed up and start doing some stretches at about 3, I suppose.
It's worked out quite well, man, because you're starting a little bit later than you probably otherwise would have.
Get my shoulders strapped up.
Here we go.
Lean into one. I'll be on the plane in neck brace tomorrow.
Outstanding.
Nah, sweet. Oh, you get well. Well,
yeah. I'm off to the couch, boys, but have a wonderful time tonight. Thanks to King's Container Crew, Mix and Pick, Ladbrokes, all our usual supporters, Patreon supporters, but most of all to you, Mike, and Frank Management for having us on the, well, joining us for an episode of our show, but also for having Brad in your studio there. Yeah, absolutely love it.
No, it's a joy, man. I love the podcast, and I wouldn't be wasting my time with you if I didn't. So, yeah, good times, man. Good
times.
Us
now he's got his TV up.